Hi and welcome along to AFTV News Daily. Joining me tonight in the building, looking cool as usual, probably back from some VIP event or something.
Yeah, I was as happens, like a soccer aid, so yeah, it's very good.
Lee Judge is in the building, soccer aid.
Yeah, and before anybody says I wasn't the water boy, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, I was up there.
Was that an invite, was it?
Yeah, a little invite up there, like, you know, and hospitality in Man City. So it was right on the halfway line at Man City. So like you see it from a different perspective. Like.
That's another event you've been to. You didn't check me.
Nah, sorry about that. Like, you know, I mean,
I tell you, this guy, man, honestly.
One day
I'm clocking you now. I remember, as I said, I remember bringing you to that cricket.
Yes, and I don't. You've never forget that, like.
And what have you brought me to?
I'll sort you out, son. I promise I will definitely sort you out, son.
Yeah, all right. That soccer thing was good though, wasn't it?
Yeah, very good. Oh, you ain't done so bad. I saw you met Gazza the other day.
I did meet Gazza. Yeah, that was a good event, actually.
Oh, right, like, I mean, where was my invite for that?
No, I'm not bringing you to nothing else, man. You know what I mean? Because do you bring me? You don't bring me into nothing, so what's I bring to
well, fair enough.
You know what I mean? But no, listen, it's great to have you in, Lee, mate. Of course, good to have you guys along as well. Talking all things Arsenal tonight. Quite a few little subjects to get through. I thought what I'd do tonight, and we'll get to this soon. We're going to get to this soon. And I want to ask everybody else out there, Gooners that are listening, Gooners that are watching this as well, what is a realistic target for Arsenal this season? Realistic, right? I'm going to ask you that. I don't want you to answer it yet.
Yeah.
And I want you to give you your reasons why. I'll give you my reasons why as well. But your realistic targets for Arsenal this season, right? Because obviously you saw there what Edu's.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've had a lot to say on it. I've had a lot to say on it. We all
going
have.
off him, I tell you.
And then also some other things that are going on at the moment. Mohamed El Neni looks like he's going to be staying at Arsenal. Galatasaray and also Fenerbahce very interested in him. We know that the Turkish transfer window closes tonight. Mohamed El Neni staying. What do you think of that?
Well, listen, we picked him up for a small fee, didn't we? Like, you know, so I think they're going to let him go for nothing at the end of this season. So,
but they were talking about letting him go. He would have been about something like about £4 or £5 million, €4 million. But the problem that Arsenal got
short in midfield.
Yeah,
short. That was one of the things that really annoyed me about Edu. He come out of a lot of things, but weren't. Well, why didn't you improve the midfield? What was the reasons for that? There wasn't. It's totally disregarded that, like, you know. So
it's a strange one to me because when you look on it now and they're saying, right, we're going to keep hold of Mohamed El Neni, because apparently at first they were willing to sell him because remember next season, like you said, he walks away for nothing, right? So at first they were saying, I may as well take like the £5 million or whatever we're going to get for him, get him off the wage bill as well because he's on about 60 grand a week, and we move on, sort of thing. But they can't get rid of him because they're short in the midfield area. So then why didn't we go and get Hossein Mawar?
Oh,
it's the same type of position.
My biggest worry of Arsenal Football Club at this moment is I feel I'm worried about what they're doing. And I mean, like, when you look at the Wild thing, they went all out last season to try and get him. Spent the whole season trying to get him, or transfer window, didn't get him. And then this season, didn't even go for it. It just looks like they're throwing a net out there. Just who can we get? There's no plan. When he said, "Oh, this is a plan for this and plan," well, I'd like to have asked the question. Well, if that you've got a plan for this, why did you go all one transfer window for a while, then not the next? You have a look at Man United with Sancho. They went for him all last season, couldn't get him. He's there now. That seems to me that there's a plan. There's a plan of what they want to do. I don't see a plan at Arsenal. And that's a big worry for me.
Yeah, I mean, it is a strange one. And then now, as I said, now they're saying, well, we can't let him go because we're short in central midfield. You know what I mean? And, they let Dan Aziz go. I'm sorry, Miguel Aziz go. I keep saying Dan Aziz. Dan Aziz, the boxer. I keep saying that every time. It's Miguel Aziz. But they let him go. Apparently, they've got like a clause that they've written into his contract where they can bring him back
in January.
Right, but they let him go. So why leave ourselves short in midfield when we could have? I just.
Well, realistically, if you look at it at this moment in time, we've with Partey and El Neni, I suppose they'll be going off to the African nations, wouldn't they? So we're going to be even more short. I know, like it's in January it comes along, but maybe that's why Maitland-Niles has been having to stay, because he's going to have to cover midfield. And
so despite buying all these players and getting rid of players, we're still short.
Well, in midfield we are 100%. We've not improved the midfield, and we've not backed it up, have we? So the two things where he turns around and says this and that, and he's been a midfield player himself that had competition with, when he played in midfield, there was Parla, Gilberto, Vieira and himself battling for two positions in midfield. He doesn't do it now. Is a bit of a worry. And I'm obviously going to say this now, I don't care what anybody says. Partey's no guarantee that he's going to stay fit. He's not stayed fit for a whole year. So
back in training, it's a good thing to see.
It's a good thing to see, yeah. But it's still, back in training, and he's got to go a whole season now, or up until January. We're playing most weeks, isn't he? A bit of a we've not backed it up. Yeah.
Well, and then the other thing is, when you look on it as well, Kostas Mavropanos, who's it?
Mav.
Again, we've been told that he's going to secure a permanent move to Stuttgart. So again, that's another player that we've not been able to see really at all given a chance at Arsenal.
Do you remember that?
And he's done well at Stuttgart, this guy.
He's done very well on his loans. I don't know what really the loans are for. What is those loans for? Because he has done really well on them, and it hasn't got him a place in the squad at Arsenal. I'm pretty sure he can head a ball. Which is more than we can say for a few of our central defenders. But again, Edu said something about, we want to bring in young players and develop them. Well, I look at him not being developed. I watched him.
He hadn't had a chance, though.
No, exactly. So that's what I'm saying about plans and things like. I watched him. I don't know if you remember his debut. It was at Old Trafford.
Yeah,
really
he was good.
Encouraging debut. Very encouraging.
And like you said, he's a big, imposing.
Yeah. Never been able to go on. You can talk about Chambers when he first come into it. Never gone on. Rob Holding had that fantastic FA Cup performance, and you think, right, what a player we found here. Not gone on, Robbie.
When you think about it, Lee, Mavropanos and Saliba, right? We went out and we spent £50 million on a defender. We actually had two.
Look, half days. Well, we don't know about half days.
Well, we don't even know, do we? Because they haven't been given a chance.
But I'll tell you what. I'd rather give them a chance than Chambers and Holding, because
they've had loads of chances.
They've had loads of chances and failed in my book. And up until last week, still failing because they still can't hit a ball. But the worrying thing for me as central defenders is we get bullied by Tony and Lukaku. And then the next week we feel, we ain't got them two, and we get out jumped by Gundogan. You know what I mean?
Bullied by Gundogan.
You know what I mean?
And Sterling.
It's a bit of a worry. Jota has scored a header against us in the 6-yard box as well.
Yeah, it's true.
So so that tells me that these central defenders are not good enough, and we've got two out on loan that we don't know. They could potentially been really good.
But all of them, they're out. What is the point of a loan?
That's
because
my point.
You know what I mean. Both of these guys have been out on loan and done well, right? Mavropanos has been at Stuttgart, done very well, rave reviews, right? Saliba, out on loan at Nice, rave reviews. Out on loan again, rave reviews. But what's the point of a loan if the player never ever comes back and gets a chance?
Yeah,
I thought you send someone out on loan to give them game time, to make them improve. But they got no chance. It's not like in that area we've got so many great players that they just can't get a chance, is it?
And I'll say, I'm going to call him Mav because his name's very, very hard to pronounce. Is he any worse than Lamari? And we spent 15 million on him. I would give him a chance. You know what I mean? I think Saliba. I honestly don't know what's going to happen. I think if I was Saliba, I'd say, look. If I was his agent, I'd say, look, just hang in at Marseille. The manager might be gone.
I don't think he'll come back. He won't come back.
I think, if another manager comes in, he might do. But I think he'd been perfect in a back three at the moment. He'd play the right side, White down the middle, and Gabriel on the left. That's a perfect back three.
You just said something. Let me get I had this thing on my phone. You just said something about hang in there till them, see if the manager's still there. And this was quite interesting what I saw today from Sky Bet. And basically what it was, the odds on managers to be sacked this season.
Who's favourite?
Who do you think the favourite is?
I think it's got to be Arteta, surely.
Right, let me
Or
give
he's going
you.
to be close. He's going to be close.
Let me give you the top 5. Right, so Bruno Lage is 12 to 1. Steve Bruce in at 4, 9 to 1. In at 3, 7 to 1.
Solskjaer.
Patrick Vieira.
Oh, Vieira up there.
At 2, Cisco Munoz, 13 to 2. Right. Number 1, Mikel Arteta, 4 to 9.
Is he really?
Yeah, favourite to be sacked. Solskjaer's right down the bottom.
I'm
He's
surprised by that.
40 to 1.
Really? I'd put some money on that.
40 to 1.
Not because he's a bad man. I just think that he's put himself there under the pump a little bit more. But yeah,
Even guys like Ralph Hasenhüttl, they're 12 to 1. Daniel Farquhar of Norwich, 14 to 1. Dean Smith, 20 to 1. Sean Dyche, 20 to 1. Right? Rafa Benitez, 25 to 1. Mikel Arteta, 4 to 9.
He shouldn't be favourite.
He's favourite. Now I can see why I'd be favourite, Lee, because what if he loses this weekend?
Well, no, from that point of view. But what I'm saying is, he should not be. Arsenal shouldn't have their manager as favourite to be sacked.
No.
After 3, at least 3 games. Like Arsenal being bottom of the league, it doesn't happen very often. I think last time was 1974.
Let me go through some comments. There's loads of them coming in. Thank you very much for all these comments coming in. Turbo Kermit says Mavropanos was loaned to Stuttgart for 2 seasons. So if he'd have got a chance, it would be after this season. Anyways. Well, you can pull back a player off of a season. And as I said, it looks like he's going to be going there on a permanent. That's what they're saying, that when that second season's finished, it's going to be a permanent. Joel says Tuchel gave all the Chelsea players who were out on loan last year a chance in pre-season games. That's true.
Yeah.
That is very true. And he actually said he's looking at various, although he sent loads more out. I mean, they must have about 5 teams out on loan, but some of their loan players do get a chance.
And what he's done also is he's improved players, isn't he? He's improving player. His stock has gone up since coming to Chelsea without a shadow of a doubt.
TY says can't keep blaming Arteta. We've been a shambles for the last 4 to 5 years of Wenger's reign, and. This one here from Abinua, a super chat here, he says, United fan here. Lee saying Conte did not sign players when he joined Inter is wrong. They signed close to 10 players when he joined in 2019. Conte is very hard to work with. He will demand signings.
Of course he will. I'm sorry, but he wasn't like mega signings. Like he signed Ashley Young.
Yeah.
So when there's this myth, he wants money and all that. Like, do you know what I mean? He spent it wisely. I'm not saying that he's... Obviously, every manager wants a budget and everything, but what I'm saying with Conte is that he's not going, right, the reason he left Inter Milan was because they said they were selling his best players. Not that he wasn't getting players in. It was that was the thing. If he come to Arsenal, I think if he come to Arsenal, I don't think he's going to demand, I want this player, I want that player. I think, because when he was at Inter Milan, as I say, he brought in people... like Ashley Young and won the league.
When you think about it, even at Inter Milan, remember, when they bought Lukaku, that was a Lukaku who was coming from Man United with a bad rep of not doing well there. You know what I mean? So
turned him around, didn't he?
He turned him around and turned him into a world-class player.
Yeah.
So, Achieve says, I think Arteta didn't get a defensive midfielder because he wants to play with 5 at the back and to use 2 box-to-box attacking midfielders in front of them. Well, he didn't play like that in the first game. And then, I don't know, straight away at the start of this season, Ben White, not Basuma. When we all was thinking...
Yeah.
And could have let, Xhaka go out and kept him. So, I'm not too sure.
Listen, that's it's a good super chat, really, because I think that tells you that Arteta don't know what he's really his best. And I think that's the thing. Is it a back 3? We got great results in the FA Cup a couple of seasons ago with a back 3. and then he's not built on that back. You know, like for me, if that's the way you're going to go, then for me, you keep Saliba, Ben White, as I said, Gabriel. That's a back three that you can go for, and then you've got the wing backs in Tierney and the new fella coming in, Tommy. We've got like that would be perfect, but then he switches it around too much. I think on Saturday, come Saturday, Mikel will show his hand and play what he thinks is his best 11, and apart from Granit Xhaka, and he needs to do it.
Got to win that game, hasn't he?
He's got to win it.
If he wins that game, we just spoke about favourites to be sacked. If he loses that game,
I can't see him surviving if you don't win the game. I think drawing it. If you can't beat Norwich at home, then you're in trouble.
Would you sack him if he lost the game?
Yeah.
Would you sack him if he drew the game?
Yeah.
Right.
but no, really on the basics of it. You know, if you can't beat Norwich, where are you going to get results from? You know, and that is my big beef. I think that Mikel has got to go on at least 10-game unbeaten run before even the word sack gets off of his back. I think if he beats Norwich and he beats Burnley and loses to Spurs, I'm no good. You know, he needs to get on a run of games and pressure, and you know. I think the biggest thing for me on Saturday is, and I really do believe it's every single fan that goes to that game, get there, get behind the team, get behind the manager, get the win, because what you don't want is excuses. Like, and I mean that, like, well, the pundits going, oh, the fans were toxic and all that. Look at the fans; they were right behind him. Don't throw it at our door. Make sure that we're 100% behind the team, giving it everything. And try and get the right environment of atmosphere so that we can win that game.
You think he'll get a good atmosphere? You think he'll get the crowd behind him this weekend?
Oh, 100%, because you know we I don't know about you, but it's been a real tough week and a half being bottom of the league. I don't want to be bottom of the league no more. Did
you think the international break has come at the right time or a wrong time?
Well, wrong time for us, because you know we've had a week and a half, 2 weeks of Spurs at top and us bottom, and they've been giving it to us. It's been tough, and the chances are that, you know, that they're probably beat. I think that they'll beat Palace on Saturday, and if we don't win on,
and that's the early kickoff as well.
Yeah, it's the early kickoff, and then it's us afterwards. We'll still be bottom. You know, you cannot Arsenal, and I'm not being a snob here in what I'm saying. You can't go 4 games.
No.
And be bottom of the league. No. It just can't happen.
Unacceptable.
It is unacceptable.
Unacceptable. Oscar says get Conte in, sell El Neni, and then Arteta probably do a job in midfield, pivot until January. He's putting Arteta in the team.
Well, yeah, like, you know, well, that's not a silly comment. Is it maybe, you know, again, if I'm in that transfer team, I'll be saying, right, okay, well, we're selling El Neni. Is there any free transfers out there that we can bring in till January to just shore it up? There must be someone that they could use.
David Luiz is out there.
David Luiz is out there. Jack Wilshere's out there as
Jack
well.
Wilshere's out there, yeah. So, yeah. Natasha says, even if we win convincingly against Norwich, there's already enough evidence to show that his time is done after the Europa League exit and the full league season. So she's not convinced, even if.
And I agree with her. I don't think. But I really believe. I don't think beating Norwich, Burnley, and Tottenham justifies you to say, right, everything's all squeaky clean. You know what I mean? Like, you know, he's going to have to do a lot more than that. It's a start.
You know. Let's get to it, right? Before I just do that, Arnab says, if Conte doesn't happen, how do you rate Xavi as Arteta's replacement? We need Conte.
We need
right?
Conte. Yeah,
let's get to it. You saw, and I haven't spoken to you since that, you would have seen what Edu said the other day when he was asked that question in that interview, where it was, where do you expect Arsenal to finish this season? And he refused really to answer it. He started saying these things, well, it could be 4th, 6th, 8th, 10th. All I want to see is the team just play. I just want to, almost like he's saying, I just want to see the injured players and the players who've had COVID just come back into the fold, and that's all I need to see at the moment. He didn't want to answer the questions about.
That showed his inexperience.
Inexperience. I mean, I have to be honest with you. I was fuming when I saw that.
Yeah.
I was like, this is Arsenal Football Club, and I was like, you know, how can you not answer that question? Well, then I got to thinking, hold on, what is the expectation? Where do you think the team, if you was asked that question, and the interviewer would have said to you, all right, Lee, so what's your target for this season? You know, considering you've lost the first 3 games, what would your target be?
Well, I would have said, first of all, I wouldn't have said I want to see the team that the players come back from injury, because that told me that he's telling you that the players that he's got in there at the moment ain't good enough. So that weren't a good sign, was it? So the people that he's recruited are not good enough to come in and do the job. So that was the first thing I would have said. If you didn't want to say a target, I would have said, look, wait till we see us. You know, wait till the team gels, the squad. I would have said gels. See us and judge us after 10 games, and then we'll assess where we want to be and where we want to be. But ultimately, I think Arsenal Football Club, if you're, look, 6 is a failure for as far as I'm concerned a few years ago, but now I'm saying, like, well, top 6. And I would have said it.
I agree with you.
I'd have said Europa League. I want Europa League football, Arsenal Football Club.
I wouldn't even have said it that way. I would have said, if I was asked that question, I would have said, well, listen, we've had a poor start to the season, but even with that poor start, minimum European places. If you don't want to use that word top 6, minimum we need to get into Europe, because we're Arsenal.
You know, but media trained you are, Robbie. See, that's why you said that. Like that
media trained.
But listen, I don't know if you see it the other day.
How can you just 6th, 8th? When I heard 8th and 10th mentioned,
yeah, but I tell you,
what's going on?
I see it. I don't know if you've seen the documentary about the Premier League starting over. It was on BBC, like the first Premier League season. Man United after 4 games at bottom of the league. Arsenal won from bottom. I think 3 games. I didn't hear Man United turn around saying, "Oh, we're going to get this and that."
Yeah.
They were still.
You're supposed to say, yeah, it was. You know, we've had a poor start.
Pump your chest out.
Pump your chest out. We've had a poor start, but you know what? We've had a poor start. We've had issues with COVID. We've had players out injured. We're confident that when we get our players back, we're going to start pushing up that league. And the aim is still to get into Europe. Because when you look at the league,
100%,
right? When you look at the league, it's not unassailable at the moment.
No,
I was absolutely shocked when I heard him say that. I was really shocked, Lee. Really shocked.
I feel it showed a little bit of inexperience, and also shows a little bit of pressure.
Yeah,
I think that, you know, he's putting pressure, I don't know, under himself or the manager or whatever. But listen, when you and that's what annoys me a little bit about Edu, is that he's played for this football club. By signing and putting on that Arsenal shirt, there's pressure. There's different pressure to other clubs. You know, I mean, people go, "Oh, look, Willock's done very, very well at Newcastle." It's a different pressure playing for Newcastle as it is Arsenal. There's over the years, great players have gone to Man United and failed. Great strikers have failed because there was pressure of playing for Manchester United. There's the same sort of pressure with Arsenal and Liverpool. There is that pressure, you know, and you've got to produce, and so he knows that. So put the manager under pressure.
8th and 10th, man. I couldn't believe it. And then you look at the league, right? All right, so if you're looking at the league, I've got the league up in front of me here, right? So we're obviously bottom. We've got no points, right? Manchester City, who are in 7th place, I've got 6 points, right? You can, you know, you can get that back.
Oh yeah.
In games, this is only 3 games have gone. So if you go on a run, you can turn. If you're, you know, how many times have we seen in a league, and a team will be near the top, and you're 4 points off them, and you're like, yeah, you know, well, if they draw their next game, we win. We're right up. You know what I mean? So, yes, we've got no points. Yes, it's been a terrible start to the season, but you can very rapidly start moving up the league if you go on a run of wins.
Of course you can.
So what's with this thing where he's talking about, where he's almost like he's refusing to answer that question? You know,
we're only looking at that now, 7 points off of Champions League places.
Yeah, exactly. So, Chelsea, Manchester United and West Ham have got 7 points. The only team in the league, I hate to say it, that have won all 3 of their games so far is Tottenham.
Yeah, so
they're the only team. that have won all 3 of their games, right?
So you go on a 10-game unbeaten run now, you could be in with a chance. You know what I mean?
Can. So why is he saying? Why? You know, honestly, I got.
Has he not got faith in the manager himself personally?
Has he got not a lot of faith in himself as well? Because to me, he's part of this management team. It's him and Arteta that makes all the decisions on these things, right? On signings, he has a big say.
Yeah, but it isn't Edu's fault that when he gives him Lokonga, right?
Yeah.
And then and by the way, he's been a good signing so far, right? Yeah, so like, but I really like him, like. And then after 2 games of being our best midfield player, he drops him. I don't, that's not Edu's fault. So is Edu looking at him thinking, well, I've given him, you know, our best midfield player, and he's dropped him.
Yeah,
so
true.
You know, so
but I still looked on it and I thought to myself, stick your chest out, man. This is the Arsenal.
Well, and that's what I'm saying.
And I'm just like, you know, because you could win your first 7 games, then lose 3 in a row.
Yeah.
What? Then
then the league's gone, is it? Exactly. Like,
you know, so I was just like, no, I didn't like that interview at all. I mean, there's loads of super chats coming in. Thank you very much. Loads of comments as well. I'm trying to do a bit of both, so thank you very much for all of those that are coming in. Let's see this one. Also, my name is pronounced Abby Manu, says Abby Manu Panika, right? When you break it down like that, at least I can pronounce it. So thank you very much for that. BLST says Arsenal needs someone to rock the ship like Gattuso. Gattuso? Would you have Gattuso?
Listen, I think Arteta's rocked the boat. He has rocked the boat with the Ozil thing, and he has.
Yeah, but he's rocked the boat, but the boat's sinking at the moment.
Well, it is, yeah. You know, I don't think that.
Maybe he's rocked it too much.
I think they need to get in a manager that's not going to be a bully. Someone that's going to be able to coach and make these younger players better. I think that's the key.
Yeah.
These younger players, 22, 23, they need to improve. Now, when Arsene Wenger, you can criticise Arsene Wenger whatever you do, he brought in young players. Patrick Vieira, for instance, at 21, made him a world-class player. Thierry-Henry made a world-class player. He made players, Lundberg, world-class player. He done that. Then he brought in, there was other players. That's what someone's got to come in and do with these youngsters. Now, I don't think bullying and being like that is going to do it. But someone like Conte has got a bit of both, hasn't he? Look how he's improved
players betterly. You know
exactly.
What I mean? I said it before. I was doing a show the other day, and I was talking about Thomas Tuchel, and I'm saying, you know, just look how many of those Chelsea players.
Well, look at the
Chelsea fans wanted gone. They wanted Alonso gone. They wanted Rudiger gone. They wanted Jorginho gone. They wanted Christensen gone.
Now all these guys are key players.
Yeah,
key
players.
Who's
to say if you get a guy, or even if maybe it's Arteta, that's his challenge. To get the best out of these players, improve them, get them firing. Because there's some good players in there.
There is some outstanding players, but my worry of that is when our Edu says about I'm bringing all these young players. Well, I 2 seasons ago at Newcastle, first game of the season, when Aubameyang scored 1-0, a little cameo from a Brazilian kid come on, and I thought, wow, this player looks good. Martinelli. This player looks good. 2 years later, he's not.
Yeah, he's gone backwards. Yeah, he's not getting the best out of him. Let's rattle through some of these. Black Caesar 83 says, if the rot continues, Arteta will need to go for the good of everyone. But ultimately, I blame the players who keep letting down multiple managers. And that's a great point. The players need to forget Arteta. Why don't the players step up for once as well? Well, you know what I mean? He's put a lot of faith in some of these players. And like you look at somebody like Granit Xhaka the other day. The manager, how can he look Arteta in the face? Whether we were for it or against it, Mikel Arteta said, you know what, Granit? I want to keep you. You're my guy. I want to keep you, man. That's how you repay him? Getting yourself stupidly sent off? But I mean, the guy makes a great point about some of these players. Yeah, but these players have had an opportunity. It's 20 months since Mikel Arteta has been here. He's had the opportunity to get rid of he had the opportunity to get rid of Granit Xhaka. He chose not to. You know what I mean? He's had the opportunity to get rid of Chambers and Bellerin at right back, which all right, Bellerin's gone out on loan. But he continues to play Chambers at right back. Well, he kept Bellerin for 2 additional seasons. Because apparently the talk was Bellerin was asking to leave now for the last 2 seasons.
You know, Kolasinac is still there. He chose to play Kolasinac in front of Mari, one of his signings. So, you know, when all these players, they could have been gone now, really. The only players that I feel that he can't really change, well, he can do a little bit, is the front ones. But all the other positions, he's had the opportunity to get rid of them and he's chose not to. So I'm not blaming the players no more. I'm not blaming the players.
Okay, Same Jay says if Arteta loses any of the next 7 games, he'll be under immense pressure. But it's not just that. He must win 5 for the fans to get off his back.
100%, I agree with that.
5 in a row, the fans will be completely off his back, I feel.
Yeah, of course.
If he won the next 5 games,
and the media will be.
Yeah, and people will be like, you turned it around.
Turn it around, yeah.
That's how football goes. But if you lose, equally lose any of those, that's how football goes. You know what I mean? Whether we want to, you know, sometimes people be like, oh, you're being too harsh. It's reality. It's the reality. When Tuchel came in at Chelsea, he goes, I know if I don't produce even this season, I'm gone. Yeah,
and I think that you need that pressure. So that's what I'm saying. Pressure, you know, will make you make decisions. You know, I'm not being horrible. If you think, I don't want to upset him as a player, I don't really want to upset him. But you think to yourself, well, if I don't upset him, he's costing me my job. So I am going to upset him. You know what I mean? I am going to make that decision. You're not playing. Because at the end of the day, if I don't make that decision, I'm going. You know, and I think that you've got to be ruthless.
Got to be. D-Sharp7 says, Lee, I was sat behind you in your big, beautiful head at the Chelsea game. I wonder if you had a blanket as well. Right? And could see the misery. Robbie, realistically, what can we do as a fan base if we lose to Norwich? I don't want to think about losing to Norwich, you know, because...
Well, I think that if we do lose to Norwich, I think the fans are going nuts.
Yeah,
I
really hope that don't
there happen. There was a frustration when we was watching the Chelsea game. Like, I looked at that game. It was, you know, we was outplayed. You know, but you're thinking, so well, it's Chelsea. They're well above us in the. But if Norwich come to town and do something against us, there's no going back, Robbie. There's no going back.
I think it's over. Prefam says the only way to judge Arteta is with his favourite 11 versus a reject 11. Arjun says, how can us Arsenal fans get even discuss Arteta? 3 games, no points, no goals scored, bottom of the league. This is a disgrace. How can we question whether we should sack Arteta? We must sack him. No tactics, no style. Well, they haven't sacked him. Remember, it's not down to us, yeah, right? And they've decided to keep him. Now this is a must-win game.
Yeah, I think, you know,
must win.
But as fans, I think most fans. If you put a poll up now, most fans would want Arteta out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's as fans, we have lost the trust in him, but the board haven't. So there's nothing.
Do you know what I think as well, Lee? I think if he'd have been 3 games gone, and there were performances in all 3 of those games.
Yeah, I think you could.
Like, you know, like
you could. Yeah.
Chelsea beat us, but it was a tight game, and they just got over the line. We went away to City, put in a brilliant performance, but City were just too much for us because they were a better side. You'd have Arsenal fans saying, you know what, it's a terrible start, but I've seen enough to tell me that once we start playing some of them other teams, we're going to be all right. We're off those teams at the moment, but the problem's been is that, you know, each of the 3 games, the performances have not been what you'd expect of an Arsenal team.
Not at all. Not at all. And certainly the one at, you know, as you all know, going up to Manchester and all that, like, you know, that performance was not acceptable from the coach, from the players, everybody. You know what I mean? I'm surprised the club haven't refunded everybody for that game, because that was shocking. You know what I mean? It was all over after 25 minutes, Robert.
Yeah, it was absolutely shocking. On your birthday as well.
On my birthday, yeah. You know, like but you look at that. If you're
my birthday this weekend on Friday, right? Listen, Arteta. I don't want what you got. Don't ruin my one as well. Russell says Arsenal should be aiming for the Champions League football every season. We've let standards drop. We're a mid-table team now. We are the Arsenal. I agree with what that guy's saying.
I totally agree.
Agree with that, Russell. You're spot
on.
That's what I want to hear.
Aim high.
Right? Gautam says, people say Arteta has no style. The problem is the opposite. There's too much style and no spontaneity. No actual substance. Coach is all theory.
That is a good point. I do think
instructions.
there's too many. You know what I mean? Sometimes you need to do things off the cuff as well.
Yeah.
You need structure, but you need players to do things off the cuff.
Yeah.
Look at Saka the other night. Playing, look how good he was,
Playing with
because he's got good
confidence,
players
flowing,
around
yeah.
him. Like, he's probably being told when you get into a certain position, you can do what you want, express yourself. There's a constructive team plan behind that, but that you go out there and perform. At Arsenal, I think it's too constructive. You know, you've got to get into position here. You've got to do this. Got
Too
to
many
do
instructions.
That. Too many instructions. That's
Martin
a great
says, "Have you seen Holland yesterday? The difference between Frank de Boer and Louis van Gaal is massive. After 3 games, they look great. So Conte in. Hey, where's Turkish? This guy was giving me stick the other day. Right, we had a like a meeting early, right, on Monday, and he just like I was remote into the meeting. They were all in the office, yeah. And then he goes, "Oh, by the way, Robbie, what was the score in the Jamaica game?" Right, because you know my parents are Jamaican.
He's giving it love.
Jamaica got beat 3-0, so I said, "Oh, well, they lost 3-0 to me." Yeah. What was the score Turkish in the Holland game?
He kept that very quiet.
6-1 in a qualifier. Hey, listen, man, trust me, you better keep running, bro. Right? Sam says, "Hey, Robbie and Lee, it's a disgrace. Arteta didn't get players like Leeds Rafinha or Genk's young Ivorian 10, Dwiggy, Balls. We need attackers." Oscar says, look what Conte did with players like Marcos Alonso and Moses. What would he do with Pepe, Aubameyang, Gabriel, Saka, Odegaard and Smith Rowe, etc.?
Great point. He made Moses into a good player, didn't
Yeah. Red Square says, not a big fan of Xhaka or Arteta, but how can Arteta criticise Xhaka for that tackle? We saw worse tackles that weekend and go unpunished. Big up AFTV. That's true, because the Pogba one was just as bad. I still think, even though, they're both sending offs.
Yeah.
Still stupid from Xhaka. You're the captain. You're 2-0 down. You should be like, guys, let's just... What I expect from my captain, because remember, that was still early in the game.
Well,
He's sent off before half time. What I'm expecting from my captain now is like, yo, Lee.
Yeah,
We're 2-0 down, but if we get a goal back, we've got a chance. Let's just stay in the game. Let's stay in the game for the next 10, 15 minutes. Everyone calm down, relax. Let's stay in the game. That's what you would have said when you were
100%.
captain in your team.
100%.
No, he goes and gets himself sent off. Game over. Anything
can happen. What could have happened, anything could have still happened in that game. You dig in for 10, 15 minutes. They might make a mistake.
Get a penalty or anything.
You just keep yourself in. That is a thing that Arsenal don't do. And listen, before anybody goes on about it, yes, other captains in the past have let us down before, was getting sent off and all that, but it's continually keep happening. And listen, he done it at Burnley, and there was no real punishment, little pat on the back from Mikel Arteta, and he's done it again. So I don't. That worries me about his management, because like when Pepe done it, he went to town with him. But has Pepe got sent off again? No, because he went to town with him, he ain't doing it. But if you letting someone, it's like not being over. If you keep letting your kids go into the sweet shop and taking the sweet in the fridge and nicking sweets, they'll carry on doing it until you stop them. And that's what it is with him. Listen, 10 years ago that was a great tackle, by the way.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
But 10 years is...
Everybody knows now it's a terrible tackle.
It's a terrible tackle now,
Andrew says, if our first 3 games had have been against Brentford, Newcastle and Everton, for example, Arteta would have gone. Has the equality of the opposition saved his job?
What a great point. That's a great point. Maybe it has.
Maybe
it has.
Nick says, Edu out for the inability to sell. Holding out for a couple of mil when we need to ship these players off, not just for financial reasons, but the squad needs new faces, new leaders, same players, same results. And Zach Simp 42 says, hi Robbie and Lee, I think we need more competent higher ups, especially after Edu's comments. Replace him with ex-Dortmund director of football, and then I think he's trying to catch me out there. But but the thing is, I still can't, there was one fan who just said it back there. The minimum should be Champions League places. That's the aim.
If
you fall below that, but that's the aim.
It's very, very hard to get champion. But I look back at Chelsea when they was 10th, come 10th. Remember they come 10th?
Yeah.
But there was the transfer window come, bosh, bang, 3 or 4 players come in, sent out the sign that they're not only going to look for Champions League, they're going to go and look to win it. Our transfer window didn't do that. It didn't say, right, here we are. It didn't show the ambition as an Arsenal fan that I wanted to see. It didn't show me that you really wanted to go out and win.
He was asked about that in the interview as well, wasn't he? He was like, well, you haven't really bought in any players.
He spent 8 yeah.
You know, I thought the guy did the interview. I think it's Josh Reeves, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think
he's done a good job, because he said to Edu, he goes, yeah, you're talking a lot about profile of players, young for the future, but he ain't really bought no one for now.
Yeah, and he hasn't.
And
Ben
he was
White,
saying, no, but what Eddie was saying is, yeah, but we've got the senior players there, but those senior players have been failing.
Yeah.
So didn't you need to bring in a few players for now? You know what I mean? There's nothing wrong with some of the, and I'm excited to see some. I really want to see the Japanese lad. He's the one I really want to see at the weekend, the right back.
He plays for me. Does he play for you?
Huh?
He plays for you?
Of course he plays.
Starts, yeah, 100%.
Starts. So I'm excited to see him. But he might take a little while to get into the.
Yeah.
You know, he's a young player. He's 22.
I think
all
Arsenal
young.
have got some good young. You know, you don't. You know, we've got Smith Rowe, we've got Saka, we've got 3 or 4 players there with young potential. We need to. We need to bring in a couple to help them come along.
They're building for a future. Right? A friend of mine said this to me the other day. He said they're building for a future where they might not be there for.
No, exactly. And the other thing is, if you're Aubameyang, right, and sign this massive contract, do you want to hear that? We're building for the future. You know, it's in the now for him.
You've got to have a couple of players in there.
Which questions why he signed? Yeah,
a couple in there that, you know, right now they can do a job for you. Right now. Oh, is that Ty just walked in the building? Big up Ty. But you need a couple. You need a couple of people right now. Don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. 100%, and I think that they needed.
Basuma would have been them right. He would have been.
Basuma would have been a right time, right place sort of a guy. Yeah, 100%. And that's something that. Do you know what? If we'd have got him, and I'm not having a go at Ben White when I say this, I'd have been excited because do you know what? I looked at it and thought, do you know what? Yeah, you've looked at what our weaknesses are and gone for it. Yes, we do need central defenders as well, but ultimately, you know, as a fan. You do want. I don't know about you. I'm jealous. I'm jealous about Man United, mate. Like, because they've got. I know, like they've got
Ronaldo, Sancho, Varane.
Excitement for them to go to their game on at the weekend.
All bouncing down Old Trafford, isn't it? We're not exactly bouncing. I mean, I know we've lost 3 games, but who you want to see?
When have we had that?
Who are you looking forward to see at the weekend?
My mates. I ain't really like it. It's true, don't it? You know what I mean? And half of them don't like me no more, like, you know what I mean? So
flexing all those guys, right?
Yeah, but they're buzzing for it.
They're all looking forward to see Ronaldo. You're looking forward to see your mates.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, so. But
it's true. It's reality.
It's a realities thing, you know. And it's been a long time since, you know. Sanchez was an exciting signing for me.
Yes.
I was excited.
Exciting.
I couldn't wait to get down there. To Sunderland away that time. Yeah. Like, you know,
even last season, Thomas Partey. I couldn't wait to see Thomas Partey in an Arsenal shirt.
Yeah, it was exciting. But like, you know, we haven't. You know, those exciting signings, and not, you know, like before. Like when last time we was out of Europe, we signed Dennis Bergkamp. I remember I was in America at the time. Like I was travelling around America, and I thought, well, I've got to get home. Dennis Bergkamp signed for Arsenal. Do you know what I mean? Like, it was an excitement thing. Like, imagine if I was in America now, I'd say, like, you know, extend the visa, please. You know what I mean? Like, there's nothing there to go for, is there? Like, you know,
there's no. And the thing is, right, as well about the signings is that most of those signings are not starters.
No.
Because
none of them. How many of them are?
I think out of all those signings, the only starters in that team is probably Ben White, like you said. Yeah, Ben White would start, and Odegaard. That's it.
Yeah,
all the rest of them. Odegaard, by the way, he done very well on international duties. He had some great stats in his game yesterday.
I think people are criticising him unfairly. Odegaard.
No, it's quality. I like Odegaard.
I think that's a good sign. 30 million.
It's a very good sign.
Very, very good sign. And
but he was there already though, so I'm still not.
So it's a little bit.
Yeah, you know what I mean. There's still no excitement. So it's only really him because all the other signings are backups. Aaron Ramsdale is a backup.
Yeah. And as much as I like Emil Smith Rowe, and I like Odegaard, as soon as you might think I'm silly, as soon as they took the 10 and 8, I got disarmed because I knew then a big name weren't coming in.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I knew that they weren't, like in a while, weren't going to be here or someone.
But there's nobody else that I can honestly. There's none of those signings. As I said, my excitement is more curiosity. That I want to see.
Are you looking forward to Saturday? I'll ask you the question. Are you looking forward to Saturday?
I am and I'm not.
I had a lovely weekend this weekend. You know what I mean? Yes. I wasn't worried about Arsenal losing.
Friday's my birthday, right? And I don't want it going wrong.
So it's even worse for you when you're getting older. You're getting older and like a year older, and you know I'll be holding that back.
And the thing is about the game, it's like one of them games that if we thrash Norwich, it's like okay.
Yeah, you can't gloat over it because everybody's expecting that, you know, or not expecting it. But that's
if we beat them, but it's not a great performance, then it's still a downer. If we draw to them, it's a disaster. If we lose to them, he's probably going to get sacked.
Mm.
So it's a must-win game. I mean, listen. First and foremost, forget the performance. He has to win it, even if it's a penalty, 1-0. We might moan about the performance, but it's 3 points. Has to win it.
Yeah, but that's still going to not. He's going to have to win it. But I was talking to Laurie earlier on, and we were sort of saying he's got to win it, but he's got to win it with style as well because he ain't going to get the fans off your back. Mm. And I know this sounds silly. If you win 5-0. People will turn around and say, "What are you gloating about? That's how you should." So that's what you got to do. When we beat West Brom 6-0, you ain't going to get no credit for it, but that's what you got.
But people were infused about it because they were like, "Oh, it was just nice to see some." Remember, we ain't seen a goal yet.
Yeah, we haven't seen a goal in the Premier League yet. You know.
Well, we've seen goals, but we ain't scored them.
Yeah.
Sean Luke says, "Hello, Sean Luke here. Big up for your channel. It's amazing. Thank you very much, mate." Same J says, "We're facing Norwich, Burnley, Spurs, Brighton, and Palace in our next 5 games. Partey, White, and Gabriel back. Arteta couldn't have a better chance to turn it around. If he doesn't, he'd be lucky to get a League 2 job." That's a great super chat because he's dead right.
Yep. Really, he should win all 5 games. I know we've got Spurs, but Spurs at home. You know what I mean? Like different kettle of fish.
All 5 of those are winnable.
We should win all 5.
Yeah.
Not going to be easy, but if you want to be in the European places, you want to be up the top, and you're Arsenal, you've got to win those 5 games.
Yeah. The Brim Story says, Robbie, enjoy your birthday on Friday. When it is because Arteta may ruin it for you, man. Big up yourself still.
Well, he can't ruin the Friday, but he can ruin the Friday. He absolutely ruined my birthday, you know what I mean? So.
Oscar says, Sean O'Connor, who discovered Jack Wilshere and Saka, has said that Charlie Patino is the best player who's ever walked through the doors of Hale End. Been in and around the first team at 17. He's been training with the first team this week.
Yeah, been hearing lots of things about
I went to an under-23 game the other day, Ty. It was sat in the studio. He was there as well. He looked decent. He really do a lot in the game, but he looked decent. Looked a confident player. Mike Howard says, I will never forget when we signed Thierry Henry. At first I thought, who is this? And to be honest, I was calling him out after 5 games. But now I don't feel connected like the old days. Let's hope it's one of those signings are a Thierry Henry. AJ Morgan says, if I say United or Liverpool had the same amount of first team players out as we have, would they get cut more slack than we have?
Listen,
it would have affected them.
Of course it would, and it affected Liverpool last season. But I tell you what they got top 4 with all their central defenders out, and he was up against it all season. And I tell you what, I admired Klopp more for that than when he won the league the season before that, because he had to work hard. He had to really convince the players. He had to get the fans on side. I think, you know, to get fourth with what he had to go through last season showed a different side of his managerial ability.
Yeah,
and that tells me that he's a great coach.
He's a great coach. Clement says the way Edu answered the question tells me they're prepared to give Arteta a chance till the end of the season.
Well, that is a worry. If they're prepared to do that, they're gambling with a loaded gun, aren't they? Like, you know what I mean? If I'll be honest, because no team's not good enough to go down. Let's face it, you know. And if we at this moment in time, if we can't beat Norwich, and if we was to lose our next 3 games, you know, and I know that's a horrible thing to say, but where could you go? You cannot back a manager for that. You've
next
got to
3
say,
games. It couldn't last.
Do you know? I was talking to my Spurs.
Unthinkable.
Talking to my Spurs mate today, like, you know, and he turned around and said, "I want you to beat Norwich on Saturday." I went, "Yeah, why is that?" And he says, "Because that'll keep him in the job a little longer." and that is a worry thing for him. And he come up with a point. He goes, "Do you remember when Tottenham were bottom of the league and they sacked their manager and got Harry Redknapp?" And I thought, oh no.
And they flew up the league.
Oh no, that it was a game changer. And I think that we're going to be in that boat where it's going to have to be a game changer. Like, you know, when teams are saying, Tottenham are hoping that we win this game because it means we're going to keep Mikel Arteta, that is a worry. Like, you know, it tells you a lot.
GOF says, my biggest fear is that Lokonga plays the next 3 games, plays well alongside Partey, but Arteta will bring Xhaka right back.
He will do.
Xhaka's going to be out.
I bet Xhaka plays against Spurs.
Yeah. Will it be eligible for that?
Yeah, because we've got the League Cup. So he will be back. Lokonga can get 3 man in the match awards, right? But Granit will be back in, like.
Touch of Awesome says, are you going to follow England on this channel? Just wondering. Big up judges. Well, we're doing, if you go over to the Don Robbie channel after we finish the show here today, in the next 8 minutes, go over. We're going to be doing the England game.
Yeah.
Lee's going to be on it as well. Ty's on it. We got so we're going to have
a
lot
Nigerian
of fun.
Ty's on it, is he?
Nigerian Ty is on it.
That's unreal. That is like that.
Yeah, he's about as Nigerian as
I tell you.
I mean? Sure.
I bet he's got Poland in him or something like that. I mean, like.
Sure. Luke says, "Hello, Lee. Would you take Klopp over Arteta?" Is that even a
you take them. I think Jurgen Klopp is, in my opinion, I think he's better than
Guardiola.
Yeah, because I don't think Pep would be able to do what he done. Pep was struggling the last season.
You know what, right?
And he brought in Diaz and went and spent another load of more money and to get there. Klopp couldn't do that and done what he done.
Klopp's unbelievable.
I think
this is my fear when
loved him. Loved him at Arsenal.
Yeah, you got a guy like Conte sitting there. He's among those elites.
Yeah, he's up there with the elites, yeah.
Right? Not just up there, he's there. He's there with them. He's won league titles with Chelsea, Juventus, Inter Milan.
Yeah, so born winner.
He's done well with the national team in Italy as well. He's done it. He's been there, and he's still young. Right? He's got it. He's an elite manager, right? And he's sitting there twiddling his thumbs. And you've got a huge club like Arsenal letting him sit there and twiddle his thumbs. I don't think if City needed a manager right now, he'd be sitting there.
If
PSG needed a manager, he wouldn't be sitting there, would he? If Real Madrid, Barcelona needed a manager, Bayern, United...
It's not just him out there, is he?
He wouldn't be sitting there. They'd be in.
There's Zidane out there as well. Zidane is another one that's proven to be to win things. I'm not saying it with this one, but there's a manager out there at this moment in time that I think that is
elite.
Premier League proven, is elite. It's a no-brainer, and we're struggling like we're waiting to see. Like,
wait and see. You know, I mean, listen.
If Arteta turns this around and becomes a magnificent manager or coach, then you'd have to tip your hat off to these people in charge, because I'd have to say, well, I never see it coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't see it coming. And I think, you know, the most optimistic Arsenal fan and You know, would like, you know what I mean? Would have to say, you know, I think we'll have doubts about Mikel Arteta. Is that right, Ty? You know what I mean? That says it all. Everybody's got, you know, he's not 100%.
Yeah.
You know, and that just tells you everything you need to know.
Petito 100. This is a great point. He says, in every major rebuild I've ever seen, the fans always think the club have no clue in what they're doing. It's up to the club to prove us wrong. And that's kind of the point.
Yeah, it's exactly right. And I think it is, you know, I mean, listen, I love to be proved wrong. I'd love to be proved wrong. I'd love it, 100%, you know what I mean? Listen, I give Arteta as much time as I wanted to, you know, long before, there was people long gone before I'd gone, because I really wanted it to work for him. But and I really do want it to work. Of course I want it to work, but I don't want to see where we are there. I just don't think it's going to, Rob, and I don't think he can turn it around. I really don't.
Super Relax says Arsenal need to finish top 7 at least, nothing else. That's not good enough.
No, not good enough.
For me personally, top 7 joked.
If Chelsea come 7th, is the manager going to be there?
No, if Chelsea comes 6th,
Tuchel
will be gone.
He'll be gone. If Solskjaer comes 6th this season, he'll be gone.
He'll be gone. I'm just convinced.
Mourinho didn't even get into the top 4 last season. Gone.
Yeah. GOF says, when it all ends this season and Arsenal finish 8th or below with no trophy, would you sack him? Of course. There'll be 3 seasons in a row, 8th. 2 seasons without the European football. The previous season, we only got
he won't be able to survive.
You can't. To me, even if he finished 8th with a trophy, because it's not going to be none of the European trophies, if he finished 8th with a trophy, either the League Cup or FA Cup,
thank you very much,
I'd still sack him.
Yeah.
And I know it sounds harsh, because the league got to be in European football next season. It's not a position that Arsenal Football Club are in at the moment with no Europe. No Europe. For a club of this size.
There's another thing about this, without being in no Europe at this moment in time. This is where you'll see if these players are improving, because he's going to have more time on the training field than at any other time in his career.
Yeah.
If you think about being successful, because you'll be playing Europe, be playing midweek games. So there should be by Christmas, you should see all these players improving tenfold. Let's see if they do.
Yep. Nick says, with all the negative media attention, would it be best for Arteta to create a us versus the world mentality for the players? Classic Mourinho style. I think you can only create that, though, if there's things to latch onto. So, like, if we would have just lost the City and a penalty decision went against us, and we've had a couple of, you know what I mean? But how can he create a sort of us versus them at the moment? You can't, can you?
No.
Because...
What can he say at the moment?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? He can't do it. If it was a dodgy penalty or something, then you could, you know, like, oh, well, it happened this. He actually could have done it in the first couple of games. He could have come out of the game against Brentford and said, look, you know, the first goal was the ball gone out for a goal kick, shouldn't have been given, and then the foul was a foul. He should have come right out and said all that, like, but he chose not to, because I think really he's not in a position where he could do that. I think years ago Alex Ferguson would have come out and been, because he had that thing.
But I think you can only do that, Lee, when you put a performance in.
Yeah.
If you put in a big performance now, you can come out and say, you know what, we've been like the other day, that game with Wolves. They can come out and say with that Pogba, the foul, they can say, yeah, it is, because they know they put in a great performance. And
exactly. That's a great point.
You know, what are you going to say?
No,
everyone's against us. No, there's a reason why people are against you, because playing crap. That's why at the moment.
Exactly, and we were sitting there watching the watch along of the Brentford game, and we were saying we don't really no excuses, because the performance was that poor. So, you know, I said, you're right, you have to pick and choose your wars, don't you, I suppose?
Okay, let me do the last few super chats. GIF says, how much longer would you give Aubameyang if he continues with his poor form from last season? Should we bring in Martinelli or Laka? Well, I don't give him long. He's got to start.
I'll give him 2 games.
Yeah, he's got to start getting it together. Sure. Devon Clark says, if you divide 8th in half, it's 4th. So what that means that Arteta is 2 times the worst manager than Wenger. Oscar says, if Arteta gets sacked and we can't get Conte until the summer because of his job with Sky Italia, are you taking Wenger back until then? This was the other day. It was muted. that Wenger could go upstairs or Wenger could come in as a caretaker.
Yeah, nah, not for me.
Not for me either.
Not for me.
Lee, we've rattled through the show. I can't believe it's 7 o'clock already. It's an hour.
Oh, it's gone quick, hasn't it?
That has gone quick. That has really gone quick, man. You know what I mean? It's been a great show. Thanks to everybody. We are looking forward to the game at the weekend. You're going to be in the what were you lounge?
Well, I could be actually sitting next to Granit Xhaka because like he's suspended, isn't he? So I could actually be sitting next to him. So.
Oh yeah, because you sitting there where his dad sits.
Yeah. So he's got like the seats next to me.
So you're gonna have all that energy. You're gonna have the same energy.
Oh, hello, Granit. How are you? That tie slags you off, you know. Like, that's
you're not gonna be like, listen up, Granit. Right? Why did you get?
I will say that.
Stupidly sent off?
If he's sitting next to me, I swear to you, I will say that to him. What did you do that for?
Get banged out, right?
No, you know what I mean? I'll say.
To be fair, I remember.
I'm going to ask
He's an honest guy.
He's an honest guy. He's really honest. He's a nice guy. To be honest, he's a really nice guy.
Yeah, he is actually.
Forget about his footballing stuff. He's a really nice bloke. He tells you how it is, and
that means he'll tell you F off.
He said, like, no, you know, I mean, I'm going to ask him the question. Did what you know? Why do that? Something silly like that.
I'm sure he'll have admit it himself.
And he'll probably hold his hands up. And you know, if I tell you what, if he was playing bad at one stage, and he said, I hold my hands up. He said to me, like, I hold my hands up, I'm not playing well. But he goes, so are a lot of other players. But I'm the one getting it from the fans.
Yeah.
And he actually said that to me. Like, so he's honest and upfront, you know what I mean? Yeah. And so I will, if he's there, if his dad's there, I'll ask his dad, you know, to say.
You come back with a black eye.
Yeah, I'll come back. If I come back all beaten up, you know why.
I'm going to finish with this one. Rocco365 says, big up Robbie and Lee. And to everyone in the chat, he says, hit the like and subscribe if you haven't already, and subscribe to Lee's channel. And he's put a link in the description. And Lee, where can they find you on your channel?
Lee Judges TV, like, yeah. So
Lee Judges TV. If you want to find out what it's like in hospitality, check him out there. Plus, as well, he has
there is one in Wimbledon on there. If you want to check that out, like, there's when I go to Wimbledon
as well,
for a day.
as you know, he has some great debates on there as well. So make sure you check out Lee's channel, subscribe to that. Thanks for watching the show today. Don't forget to get over onto the Don Robbie channel tonight. We're doing a watch along to the England game, right? And we've got a couple of AFTV members up in the building. Ty's going to be on it. Lee's going to be on it as well with me. So make sure you check that out. That's starting about 7:30. So make sure you check that out. But thanks for watching the show. We'll be back tomorrow with another News Daily. I'll be in the hot seat again tomorrow. So make sure you check that out. Don't forget to subscribe here to AFTV. And we pray that this weekend will be better than those previous 3 games. Thanks for watching.